That night, the Corgi did not run to the door like usual. He stayed hidden under the table. His ears were lowered. His eyes were wide. His body was curled up as if he wanted to disappear from the room. His owner had just come home after a long day. The door closed. A bag dropped to the floor. The phone was still glowing in one hand. Everything looked normal, except for the dog. For months, he had always been the first to race over at the sound of keys. He would spin in circles, wag his whole body, and tap his front paws against a pant leg. But that night, he did not move. His owner called to him. One ear twitched. Still, he did not come out. His owner knelt down and reached under the table. The Corgi backed away. He did not growl. He did not snap. He only tried to avoid the hand. That reaction made the whole room feel cold. His owner started thinking about the last few days. The Corgi had been sleeping more. He had stopped bringing toys to the chair. On walks, he often paused at the same patch of grass, but every time, the leash pulled him away. At home, whenever he rested his chin on a knee, his owner looked down at the phone. When he made a soft sound, his owner assumed he wanted food. When he followed from room to room, he seemed overly clingy, but he had been trying to say something. He said it by slowing down, by holding eye contact longer, by losing interest in the things that once made him happy. His owner sat on the floor and placed the phone to the side. For the first time in days, the room was completely quiet. The Corgi still did not come out. But now, he was looking directly at the person sitting across from him. In that moment, his owner understood. This was not about a late meal or a shorter walk. A hand lowered toward the floor. No pulling, no calling again, just waiting. From the shadows, the Corgi slowly moved forward. But just as his nose came close to the hand, a sharp metal sound came from outside the door. His entire body froze. It was only something falling in the hallway. But the Corgi jumped back. His belly pressed against the floor. His back legs began to shake. This was not stubbornness. This was fear. His owner stayed still. No touching. No forcing him to calm down. Only a softer voice. After a while, the Corgi crawled out from under the table. He walked around the room with his nose close to the floor. Then he stopped beside the wall near the door. That was where the leash hung. He used to jump with excitement whenever it came down. This time, he lowered his head. His owner suddenly remembered what had happened 3 days earlier. During a walk, the Corgi had stopped beside a bush. His owner was in a hurry and pulled the leash hard. The dog lost his balance and slipped toward the edge of the road. A car passed close by. Its horn blared. He was not bleeding. He stood back up. So his owner thought the moment was over. But for the Corgi, it had never really ended. His owner picked up the leash. The Corgi immediately turned his head away. Something that once meant joy had become a sign of danger. The leash was placed on the floor. His owner stepped back. The Corgi looked at the leash. Then he looked at his owner. He did not know if he was about to be pulled again. If you have ever thought a dog was simply being difficult, follow Corgi Corner. Sometimes what looks like resistance is actually a very quiet cry for help. His owner opened the door but did not step outside. Instead, he sat beside the doorway and waited. 5 minutes passed. The Corgi took one small step. Another sound came from the stairwell. He turned as if he wanted to run. But this time, no one grabbed the leash. No command was given. A hand simply rested on the floor. The Corgi stared at that hand for a long time. Then he stepped closer. The moment those fingers touched his soft fur, his owner noticed something worse. There was a small swollen area beneath the fur on his shoulder. And when the hand moved closer, the Corgi whimpered. The sound was very soft, but it stopped his owner cold. The hand pulled away at once. The Corgi turned and licked the swollen spot. His eyes were no longer filled with fear alone. There was pain too. His owner remembered the fall. The dog had stood up and kept walking. There had been no blood, no loud cry, so it had seemed like he was fine. But dogs can hide pain very well. They keep walking, they keep eating, they keep lying beside the people they love, until their bodies can no longer pretend. His owner placed a soft towel near his paws and called the animal clinic. While they waited for advice, the sound in the hallway came again. The Corgi startled. His back legs slipped on the floor. His owner moved forward without thinking. The dog immediately pulled his body in. That moment hurt more than any accusation could have. The person he once ran to for safety now made him afraid of being hurt again. His owner stopped. He sat lower and gave the dog space. No promises that everything would be fine. No pressure to trust again. only a choice. A pet carrier was placed near the door. Inside was a familiar blanket and an old toy. The Corgi looked at the carrier and backed away. His owner did not pull the leash. He did not pick the dog up. He simply waited. The Corgi moved closer, sniffed the blanket, then turned away. His owner worried that the swelling might be serious, but forcing him now could make the fear even deeper. At last, the Corgi placed one paw inside, then the second. A lock clicked in the hallway. His whole body went stiff again. His owner lowered a hand. It did not touch him, it simply stayed there. The Corgi watched for a long time. Then he stepped all the way inside. On the drive to the clinic, a loud horn sounded at an intersection. The Corgi panicked. He scratched at the carrier, breathed fast, and pushed himself into the farthest corner. His owner pulled over in a safe place. The carrier stayed closed. No one tried to drag him out. A hand rested on the side, while a calm voice spoke slowly. Little by little, the Corgi's breathing eased. At the clinic, the vet examined his shoulder. The result left his owner speechless. There was no broken bone, but the muscle had been strained and inflamed after the fall. The pain had been there for days. Every time the leash tightened, his shoulder hurt again. Every metal sound near the door brought back the same memory. He was not afraid of going for a walk. He was afraid of being pulled while he was in pain. When the vet reached toward his shoulder, the Corgi began to shake. His owner lowered a hand in front of his nose. This time, the dog did not move away. He slowly rested his chin in that hand. The trust was not completely gone, but it was standing on a very thin line. The vet said the Corgi needed several days of rest. No running, no jumping, no pressure on the injured shoulder. His owner nodded, but the muscle was not the only thing that needed to heal. Back at home, the wall hook came down. The old leash was put away. A new harness was prepared. It wrapped around the chest and kept pressure away from the sore shoulder. Still, his owner did not rush to use it. On the first day, the harness simply lay on the floor, far enough from the dog's bed to feel safe. Whenever the Corgi looked toward it, a small treat appeared nearby. No calling, no pulling, no pressure to move closer. On the second day, he walked over and sniffed the harness. Then he stepped back. On the third day, he stayed beside it a little longer. Other things began to change too. The phone was no longer held during playtime. Walks became shorter. But the Corgi was allowed to stop and sniff whenever he wanted. When he looked back, his owner stopped too. When he seemed tired, they went home. There was no more tug-of-war on the sidewalk. A week later, the swelling had gone down. The Corgi carried his old toy over to the chair. He placed it on the floor and waited. His owner understood. The phone was turned face down. They played together for a few minutes. Not for long, but with full attention. Follow Corgi Corner so you do not miss the small signals dogs use to speak to us. That night, the Corgi did not hide under the table. He lay on the rug near the chair, still leaving a little space between them. His owner did not call him closer. He simply sat there. After a while, the dog stood up. He walked forward slowly and stopped beside his owner's legs. Then he gently rested his chin on a knee. It was not instant forgiveness, and it did not mean every fear was gone. It was a choice. He was saying that the relationship still had a chance. His owner did not hug him. He did not hold him tight. He only placed a hand beside the dog's muzzle. The Corgi closed his eyes. His breathing became slow and steady. For the first time in days, the room no longer felt tense. Trust did not return because of one apology. It returned through dozens of small choices. Slower choices. Gentler choices. Choices that listened. By the end of the week, the Corgi stepped into the new harness on his own. When the door opened, he looked at his owner. His owner looked back. No one pulled anyone forward. They stepped outside together. When the Corgi stopped at a patch of grass, his owner stopped too. No rushing, no tugging. Just standing beside him and letting him explore the world at his own pace. That was when his owner understood the most important lesson. A dog does not need a perfect person. He needs someone who pays attention, someone willing to change, and someone willing to listen before the quiet signals become too late. Follow Corgi Corner to keep seeing the world through the eyes of a Corgi.